Hello there. I've been thinking about what to share with you, and many ideas came to me as I was thinking, what would you like to hear if you've heard me before? And I may go a different direction that I did in the beginning of my videos. Let's talk about goals. Did you reach your goals that you wanted in life? This isn't scripted. I don't know what I'm going to say from one word to the next, but I will tell you that you had goals in high school, and if you went to college, you had goals. No matter what, you had goals that you wanted to accomplish, whether it was to become a millionaire, whether it was to have a great family and no divorces, whether it was to become famous as a writer or poet or singer. You had goals. I had goals. I was a go-getter. Oh, about 20 years old, 19 years old, I published my first book of poetry. I thought I was off and going to live off my books, which I did for several years. Published the first book. I doubt if you can find it on Amazon, but it was in 1969, called When Twilight Begins, and then sold out of that, and then didn't have much money for the second book a couple years later, called I Believe in Love. That's probably not on Amazon, but then books started stacking up on Amazon as I was putting out a new book every 8 or 9 months. Books sold not only in this country but in English-speaking countries. I won't name them, but Canada, England, South Africa, for sure. And I've talked about this in other videos, how I was able to get their addresses, send them a advertisement, and they'd order books from me. Then I'd take trips around the country. Now this was in my 20s, and I would sell books in the any place that sold them, gift shops, bookstores. I won't name all the chains that bookstore chains that carried them, but I thought I was off and going. I thought I was going to be a millionaire. This is a time when Rod McEwen had become a multimillionaire selling his poetry books, and I didn't know who he was till someone says, "What you're writing is just like Rod McEwen, who's a multimillionaire." He's passed away now. I have his biography. Only one person did a biography on him. So we all have dreams, don't we? And you have your own dream, and it could be a dream of building a huge company, or a musician that has number one hit records, or an artist that sells your artwork all over the world. And those are good dreams. They're good dreams. They just take a lot of effort and a lot of work. They don't come easy. And when I think back, 1969, when I put out my first book, I was obsessed. I had ads printed up in. I just thought of this. I actually contacted a lot of college newspapers. Took ads out in them. Maybe shared a poem. Told about my books. I actually went to that extent of exposing my books and what I thought was my talent to college campuses nationwide. I can't tell you how effective that was because I don't know. In fact, none of them sent me back a issue where my ad was published or anything. But I threw all my books in the trunk, and I went from city to city, state to state, mall to mall. Malls had the chain bookstores like Walden Books and B. Dalton Booksellers, and those were the two main ones. Spencer Gifts was in there. They would buy poetry books, put them on a spending rack. I mentioned college bookstores probably. Things are going so well because the reorders are coming in, not only here but in other countries. What I didn't know, what you're going to find out if you go after your goal, is that times would change the way you have to market your product. I don't care if it's music. I've been listening to a lot of music videos, and it shifted. Let's talk about rap. Rap wasn't around in 1969. Well, it became big later. Country wasn't doing too well until Willie Nelson and the others, Waylon Jennings, decided to come up with country western when nobody else would sign a contract with them. Well, you know they became famous, don't you? Leonard Cohen, one of my favorite singers, nobody would sign him till he was in his mid-30s. They said he was too old. He's too old. He's the one that sang Hallelujah, Birds on the Wire. I can't even begin to tell you all of his songs, but I would recommend, after you get through with this, that you put Leonard Cohen's, or put Leonard Cohen, Cohen, Leonard Cohen live in England, and you'll see a whole concert. The same concert I saw in Louisville. Now, why am I saying this? Because Leonard Cohen was basically bankrupt once after achieving great fame he was bankrupt because his financial advisor, or the accountant, or whatever you want to call her, also a lover, past lover, while he was gone for a while on a different mission, she stowed all the money. When he came back at 65, he was ready to retire. But the money was gone. She took it. Failure. Starting over. With 10 new songs. That was the name of his album. Sharon Robinson, one of the people that was with him in the beginning. And he would produce songs in the morning before there was too much traffic on a computer. So he launched 10 new songs, which went worldwide. And it was unbelievable, the concerts that created. The concerts it created were not here in America necessarily, although some were. I saw them in Louisville, Kentucky later on, much later on than this. But Leonard Cohen was more famous in other countries. So I mention this because his fortune was made after he was 65. After he was basically bankrupt. He started again. He couldn't believe it. Sold out performances. When I was in Louisville and saw his concert, I had people at the last minute offering to pay me anything for my and my wife's tickets. We weren't going to sell them. It was one in a lifetime thing before he died. That was the last tour he took. Now, why am I saying this? If you failed at your art or performance or whatever your love is, don't give up. And I'm preaching to myself, because I gave up in 1987. I had sold approximately 100,000 poetry books total in this country and other countries. And top one was Touching You, Touching Me. Here's a few I published just recently. Well, we're almost on, okay, The Winter of Love. And here's Autumn of Love. I had a love series going on. From the hippie movement. Here's The Summer of Love. So those are my attempt to get back into the love of my life as far as work. Now, I want to tell you this. I was also working at the Ford truck plant in Louisville. So it wasn't, I did substitute teaching to pay for all this stuff. In other words, I did not have a publisher that took me on. Doubleday was going to take me on until they changed editors, and the editor that was going to publish my books went to another publisher. I think Doubleday and Random House went together. I don't know what it's called now. But that's the people that I was dealing with at the American Booksellers Association in New York, and they were reading my stuff, and they thought, yeah, we'll take you on. We'll take you on. Your stuff is like Rod McEwen's. And Rod McEwen, I think, was with Random House. Random House and Doubleday were probably equal as far as popularity and money, royalties and things. Well, it collapsed. If you go to YouTube, singers that didn't make it, and I wasn't a singer, but you're going to find out that the same thing, they fell flat. They were promised one thing and they fell flat because their contact person moved, quit, changed their mind, or I was listening to one last night that this agent had published. It was a singer. She had been promised a ton of money, and over 6 months she kept emailing that person. They had already heard her demo songs. Those are what you present to get the attention of the record company. And she finally flew over there, I think it was England, and asked to meet with that very person that had promised her a contract for a music album, CD, and he was upbeat. Oh yeah, we're going to give you this much royalty and this, that, and the other. And then when she went back to America, she got a letter from him, or email, saying, you know, we can't pay that much. Actually, we can offer you 1/4 of that much. She canceled it. It was with Sony Music. You can look it up on YouTube. It's singer turns down Sony contract, something like that. You might get it that way and see the whole video. So the entertainment field is full of surprises, to put it mildly. So we're getting back into it now. I'm getting back into it. And not being real good at social media is going to take me a lot of time to study all the different medias I can use. If I knew somebody that could help me, that would really help. But no, I'm in a small town, okay, and I'm trying to learn everything off YouTube. I can pay people off YouTube that have done similar stuff that I have done, and I'd be glad to pay them if it's within my means to get on, not only on this. I mean, Facebook. I've been on Facebook. I've advertised my books on I've shown my poems on Facebook, and over the last many, many years, and that hasn't caused outrage of book sales. It's caused a few. Okay, I'm wanting to encourage you. That's what I aim to do. It sounds like I'm having a pity party on myself. I'm not. Because I know things change. I know the music field has really changed. I've listened to past singers tell their story of them disappearing off of the music scene. And I will say that some, like Leonard Cohen, made a comeback, and he's still being played in movies as background. He's being new videos here on YouTube, lots of them, because his son took over the estate and is producing videos, and they're good ones. They're videos of the song with background people in the background. Beautiful. Take a look at it. Believe me for that. Believe me for one thing on this video. Look up Leonard Cohen. LeonardCohen, and just put that in to YouTube, and just go down and hit as many videos as you have time to. And I think you're going to be shocked if you haven't already known Leonard Cohen. Okay, so what's this video about? It's overcoming failure is what I wanted to sort of title it. Overcome failure after you've had a success. And I better quit now, because I'm afraid that I'm out of wind on inspiring you. So I want to thank you for visiting me during this 24 minutes. And if you leave any comments, I will get to them as soon as I can. It could be several days. And thank you again for visiting me.